Hello everybody. In today's video we are continuing our discussion regarding ASA dials on various cameras, and today we will talk about Minolta brand and various Minolta models. So basically I've done a video previously on a Canon model A1 program and how to best install and uninstall the ASA dials with several settings involved with that process. And today we'll basically cover the same topic just on the Minolta models. Well, right now on my bench I have a Minolta XG9. Basically pertains to as well as XG1, XG7 models as well. So our section we're gonna cover here is this particular area. On this model, the ASA dial is a combination with a shutter speed dial. So it's a hybrid, so to speak. It does two things. So first things first, to properly remove it the way I do it, I lock it to an automatic mode, okay? And then I like to set it to ASA 100, okay? And then what we have to do next is remove this ring, this washer ring, and that'll basically allow us to dismantle this assembly, okay? So this is what we'll do next. Use my special needle nose pliers. All right, and then counterclockwise, gonna go ahead and turn the wheel, and this will basically allow us to disassemble this module here. So we've got this washer that holds everything together. Then we have this plastic bezel, so to speak. All right, now we've got a release button. Then we have the ASA scale here, and then we got a spring washer, and then the dial itself. All right, so here it is. We have it all disassembled, and now, provided that you're ready to put it together, I'm not going into discussion as to why you need to disassemble it or why you would not need to disassemble it. I'm just showing you a process of how I take it apart and put it back together. So if you look right here, there's this pin here, okay? So to put it back together, you just have to align it with an opening on the ASA dial, okay? If you position it incorrectly, you'll see that it's not gonna be seated right. There's going to be an opening, okay? So what you need to do is make sure you align it and it sits just like that, okay? There's not really no space between the dial and the camera body here. Once that's in place, you will then put this washer here, or actually you can do it one of two ways. Position this washer next to this opening right here, okay? And this is where this scale will go, okay? Or alternatively, the way I do it, probably be easier anyways. So just put this washer, combine it with this scale, all right, just like that. And then holding it with the tweezers, place it into that opening, and you'll see that it'll actually be completely seated, okay? So the next step is placing this shutter speed bezel. So you want to put it exactly how you removed it. So if it was set to auto, okay, that's the way you're gonna put it, because again, there's couple of pins here on this plastic cover, as well as two pins here on the dial. You're gonna align it, and once you align it, actually sit properly, okay? Then you put your release button, okay? And then you're gonna place your washer. Okay, now this is gonna be tricky, okay? Because you're gonna go clockwise to screw it back into place. The way I do it, okay, I position it that way. Try to hold your plastic bezel with one hand. Just go clockwise. As soon as it engages the thread, you can release, then continue holding it and go clockwise like that. Once you see a little tension here, I get the pliers and tighten it up. Now it's back in place. I'm just gonna go ahead and rotate it to the minimum 25 ASA and maximum 1600. Just make sure that everything is properly rotating, and it is. So we're good to go. So here's your XG series, specifically XG9, okay, if you want to be specific on it. All right, let's put this away. Let's grab another camera. So this will be a Minolta X700 model, okay? And our ASA dial is on this side, and it serves two purposes. So it's both ASA dial and the exposure compensation. So this is our shutter speed dial. So as you can see, it's different than our previous example, XG, where it combined the shutter speed with the ASA. So this will be a little bit different. All right, so first things first, as you can see, we have to remove the rewind knob, like so. There you go. Okay, so now we're gonna loosen up our plastic washer here, screw washer, and go counterclockwise. All right, before I do that, let me actually preface by saying the way I like to align everything before I remove it is set it to 200, and I'll explain why. And point your exposure compensation to a 0. So 200 and 0. So that'd be the best way to remove it, because it'll be easiest way to put it back in place. All right, we're gonna go ahead and remove that all the way out. So we've got our metal washer here, so pressure washer. And there you go. We're gonna remove it here, and we've got another little clear washer here, put it away. All right, now the reason why I set the dial to 200 is because it serves two purposes. As I mentioned before, here's our ASA dial here, the yellow one, okay, and then we've got another one, the clear one, and this is our exposure compensation dial. So when we removed it at the 200 setting, as you can see, both were perfectly aligned with each other. Okay, versus if it was 100, it could be that way or that way, whichever way it would be, but it would be misaligned, okay? So when we have it that way, we both align these two pins as well as these two openings. Okay, so it'll be much easier for us to put it back in place. All right, so here it is. We have it removed. Now, assuming you did what you had to do with the camera, or you're ready to put it all back together, we're gonna put this washer exactly the same way. Gonna take this dial, put it exactly the same way, and it'll fold nicely into place. Now we're gonna take these two, okay, the washer and a plastic screw, put it here, hold the dial with one hand and go clockwise. All right, once you feel a little bit of tension here, tighten it a little bit. There you go. And now test it. Make sure it goes to 25. This one goes to 1600. Now you can set it to any setting you'd like. Push this button. That allows you to move your compensation dial up and down. Perfect. So everything looks good. Now we're gonna put back our rewind knob. All right, and here we go. We are finished with X700 model. All right, so we'll put this away. So let's see what else is on our list here. Let's do the XD11. XD11 is a little more complicated. It involves a few more items here, positioning wise. So again, our ASA dial here, as well as exposure compensation, are 2-in-1. So first things first, we're gonna remove the rewind knob. I'm gonna go ahead and lift it up. You're gonna hold the rewind fork with, I don't know, a screwdriver, a tweezer in place, and then go counterclockwise, and now it's out. Let's put it away. Dust it off a little bit here. All right. So at this point, it really doesn't matter where the setting is here. Could be 100 or 200. Okay. I'll keep it at 100 or 200, makes no difference. And make sure you have your compensator setting set to a 0. And now we have to remove this support washer here. I'm going to go ahead and go counterclockwise, loosen it up, and using my tweezers, I'm going to go ahead and remove it all the way. There we go. It is out. Now, first things first, I'm going to go ahead and take out the top plate here. All right, I'll put it here. Now we've got this metal portion of the dial, okay, with a scale. All right, let's just start placing them over here so it makes more sense because it involves a little more parts than before. Then we've got this plastic washer. All right, we'll put that away as well. Now, in order to progress and remove the top cover, assuming that that's what you're after, you're gonna remove this little frame here supported by 2 screws. And this frame basically allows you to navigate, if I'm gonna hold it here, navigate this exposure compensation portion of this dial. Basically push it and move it up and down. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and remove these 2 screws. And this frame comes out. All right, so what's next? We're gonna carefully remove this portion here. Okay, this is just a lever. Okay, there's no contacts or anything like, you know, anything related to the ASA per se. Okay, put that away. And now, technically, if I had this portion disassembled and ready to remove it, I'll be able to completely remove it. Okay, and then here's our ASA contact. Right below here, you have the sensor, guiding sensor, where these contacts are basically, it's a surface contact that goes up and down, left and right here, and this is our exposure compensator section. Okay. All right, so now we're ready to put it all back together, and we're going in reverse now. I'm gonna put this lever back in place, make sure it's seated all the way. Okay, and by the way, if I flip it over, I'll demonstrate. There's a couple of metal pins here in this washer, and there's 2 openings, so you have to again align it. There you go. You may need to finagle it a little bit, okay, if it doesn't work the first time around. I'm gonna put back this supporting frame, position it with these holes where you're gonna put and screw back the 2 screws. All right. It's 1. and 2. All right, and next goes the plastic washer, goes right below the compensator lever. Then we have our dial. Gonna basically position this plastic pin with an opening here. That's why it really makes no difference what ASA setting you remove it as, okay? It's basically could be anywhere along this scale. Now we're gonna put back the top portion. Just position it, pointing all the way to the bottom, okay? Because there's an opening here where it actually falls into, so you can't really put it any other way. I'm gonna put the washer back, try to align it. There you go, it's in place, I think. Yep, it grabbed it. Now I'm gonna go ahead and go clockwise to tighten it. Okay, as you can see right now, it's moving freely, no issues. There you go, it locks in. So does the exposure compensator dial. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and tighten it a little bit. There you go. And the rewind knob. All right, let's put it in place. I'm gonna tighten that as well. I'm gonna hold that rewind fork in place and then go clockwise. So here we have our XD11. The same thing applies to XD5 as well as XD. Some of the models may have this exposure compensation dial on the opposite side. I've seen that as well. Don't quite remember whether it's XD or XD5, but the logic is pretty much the same. The positioning is different. All right, so this was our XD series. Let's put that away. So the next one we have on our bench is the SRT. So SRT is a little bit tricky. Basically going to be operating on this side, and it serves two purposes. As you can see, it's a ASA dial as well as a shutter speed. All right, and it is driven by a spring, kind of like a tungsten wire, similar to Canon AE1, if you will, but it's out of a different material. But again, it's quote unquote spring loaded. All right, so you want to make sure that you position them properly and you place it the same exact way. All right, so first things first, the way I like to set it is 100 and 1,000. I'm gonna go ahead and unscrew it counterclockwise. Why I keep on saying counterclockwise or clockwise, because certain cameras, certain models, especially Pentaxes, certain areas, they actually go clockwise to remove and counterclockwise to tighten it. In any case, so as you can see right now, I'm gonna force it a little bit from the bottom and it came off. So now it's got different section to this dial. Let me go ahead and demonstrate. So we have this cover here. There you go. Now we've got this metal scale. Then we've got a spring. And then we have the dial itself. As you can see here, this portion right here is our ASA section, okay, right here. This here is shutter speed. The middle portion is the shutter speed. The outer portion is the ASA, okay? So now to put it back together, okay, as you can see, this dial has two openings and they're identical. You can place it this way or that way, as long as you align it with these two openings here. So this section right here, this opening is a lot further or deeper, if you will, than this one. This is pretty shallow here, and this is pretty deep here. That why I'm telling you that, I'll explain shortly. So let's go ahead and position this dial first, okay, to cover these two openings here. Then we're going to put the spring exactly the same way you removed it on top. Now it's time for our ASA scale. As you can see here, it also has two pins, one shorter, one longer. You want to put the longer one into the deeper slot here, and the shorter one into the shallower slot. We're going to go ahead and position it like so, and kind of find that opening. You see how it sits right away nicely in there? Okay, so it's fully seated now. I'm going to basically hold it with a tweezer or a screwdriver, whatever you have. And now you have a little hole here, which is that screw that holds the top portion of our dial. I'm going to keep on holding it that way. I'm going to put that one in there, and it is now fully seated. Now I'm going to go ahead and take that screw while holding it with one hand. I'm going to go ahead and put the screw back in place. As you see here, we started with ASA 100, but it is now 6400. Why? Because when we removed it, it unwound, because that spring basically unwinds itself to the highest ASA setting, which is fine, okay, just as long as you're aware of that fact. All right, now all you have to do is lift it up, position it to anywhere you like, and the way to check that you placed everything correctly, it has to allow you to go up and all the way from 6 up to 64, okay? Now you know that you've placed everything, or you put everything together correctly. All right, now we're going to position it at 100 and all the way down to B and 1000. All right, so here's our SRT model, and again, it applies the same way to pretty much any SRT series, 101, 201, 102. Any SRT shares similar dial parameters. Okay, so once you do it on one, you'll be able to do the same way on all the other SRT models. All right, so and I've got one more to talk about, and this is the XE7, which is similar to XE5 and XE. Okay, our dial is on this side right here. Okay, so in order for us to remove it, I'm going to basically take out this rewind knob first and work ourselves into it. Again, all of these cameras are my personal cameras, so to speak, you know, or spare cameras or junk cameras that I spare parts from. So first things first, we're going to hold down to the rewind fork and counterclockwise remove the rewind knob. Next, we're going to remove this washer. Okay, it's a screw down washer. All right, there we go. And again, I apologize, I didn't mention the setting before you remove it. It can be pretty much anywhere on the scale. Okay, I usually set it to 100 or 200, okay? And then make sure that your compensation dial is set to a 0. Be easier to put it together. There's really no significant settings to keep in mind as long as you kind of remember how you removed it. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and remove this. And now I'm gonna hold it here and take out the dial itself, all right? You can see if I reverse it, there's a pin here, okay? And there is an opening here on this ASA contact here. I'm gonna go ahead and take out this frame, because you will take it out as well if you decide to remove this assembly altogether. So now I'm gonna go ahead and put it away. And here's our dial here. A lot of times, just public announcement, so to speak, if your XE5 or XE7 exhibits inconsistent light meter readings, or you'll notice that a needle is jumpy a little bit. A lot of times the culprit is oxidation of this contact, this copper contact that you see here. So then the best practice would be removing this section, removing the ASA assembly, and cleaning the top portion and the bottom portion of the contact. And 99% of the time it resolves that issue, okay? It's very prevalent in this XC series model. So maybe that would be the reason why you want to disassemble it. But in any case, now that we have it disassembled, now let's put it all back together. We're going to go ahead and position this frame, same way we took it out. All right, now it's in place. Now what we need to do is align this ASA dial, a hole on the ASA dial contact, with a pin on the actual dial. All right, all you have to do is just kind of angle it so you can see where it falls into place. Okay, it could be anywhere on the scale. All right, looks to be in place. Now I'm gonna put this screw down washer and go clockwise while holding it with one hand. Tighten it a bit, then use your pliers. There you go. And our rewind knob goes after that. Go ahead and tighten it. All right, so there you go. So we've covered 5 models of the Minolta camera, and hopefully this was beneficial to you. If you have any questions, you can email me at garyscamera@yahoo.com or post some comments on this video. All right, thank you for watching.